The room was quiet, but it was a loud kind of quiet. It was the silence you get before a storm, when the air gets heavy and you know something bad is about to happen. In this fancy room in Washington, D.C., with its dark wood walls and rows of important-looking people, two political enemies were staring at each other. On one side was Representative Jasmine Crockett. She sat tall and straight, her face set like stone. She was a fighter, a lawyer who had spent her life speaking for people who didn't have a voice. Today, she was here to speak for millions of Americans. On the other side was Senator John Kennedy. He leaned back in his big leather chair, a small, folksy smile on his face. He was famous for his slow, country way of talking, which sounded friendly, but often hit a sharp knife. He used words like a weapon, and he was aiming one right at her. He leaned into his microphone. His voice was calm and slow, like honey pouring from a jar. "Now, Congresswoman," he began, drawing out her title, "I've been listening to you talk, and it's all very passionate. It reminds me of something my old uncle used to say back home. He'd say, 'John, you can put lipstick on a pig. You can even put it in a pretty dress, but at the end of the day, it's still a pig.'" A shockwave went through the room. People gasped. Reporters started typing furiously. What did he just say? The meaning was clear. He was calling her ideas, her hard work, and her entire presentation a pig in a dress. He was calling it ugly and worthless. Inside, a fire started to burn in Jasmine Crockett's chest. It was the hot, angry feeling she got whenever she saw injustice. She knew what he was doing. He was trying to make her angry. He wanted her to yell and scream so he could turn to the cameras and say, "See, she's just emotional. You can't take her seriously." She would not let him win. Not like that. She leaned forward. Her voice was not loud, but it was sharp and cold. "Senator," she said, looking him straight in the eye, "your cute little farm stories are not a substitute for facts. My argument is built on numbers and real-life stories from the American people. If you want to talk about the facts, I'm ready, but I will not sit here and let you compare my work to a pig." The room was dead silent. A fight had started. Kennedy just smiled, his calm, frustrating smile. "Oh, I think you misunderstood me, Congresswoman. I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about a bad idea. And your idea, ma'am, is a very bad idea." He was good at this. He had twisted it around to make her look like the one who was overreacting. The fire in her chest grew hotter. She had worked for weeks on this. She had read thousands of pages. She had prepared for every question. And he was just waving it all away with a dumb story about a pig. This wasn't a real discussion. It was a show, and he was trying to make her look like a fool. "A bad idea, Senator?" She fired back. Her voice was getting louder now. She couldn't hold it in anymore. "Is helping old people afford their medicine a bad idea? Is making sure giant companies pay their fair share of taxes a bad idea? Which part of helping normal people is the pig you're talking about?" The two of them were like boxers in the ring, trading punches. The man in charge of the meeting, the chairman, weakly banged his little wooden hammer. "Order, please! Let's all be respectful!" No one was listening to him. "You see," Kennedy said, putting his hands together like a wise old teacher, "you talk about these big companies, but those companies make jobs, the jobs that feed families. Your plan would hurt those families. You're trying to fix a leaky faucet with a sledgehammer." "That's not true, and you know it," Crockett said, her voice full of passion. "The numbers prove you wrong. Those companies are using their money to make their rich bosses even richer, not to create jobs. We're talking about a system where billionaires pay less in taxes than the people who clean their offices. It's a joke!" She was fired up now. This was exactly what he wanted. Kennedy's smile got wider. He saw his chance. "A joke, you say? I think the real joke is having a member of the House come into the Senate, the most serious room in our country, and lecture all of us with such hysteria." Hysteria. That word hit her like a punch to the gut. It was an old, ugly word used for centuries to shut women up. It meant, "You're crazy, you're too emotional, you don't know what you're talking about." With that one word, he tried to erase everything she was: a lawyer, a congresswoman, a leader. He tried to turn her into a stereotype. That was it. The dam broke. The fire inside her became an explosion. Every rule about being polite and professional vanished. She looked at the chairman, who looked scared and weak. Then she looked at the security guard standing by the door. He was a big man in a uniform, paid to keep order. She had a choice. She could take a deep breath and try to be the calm, professional one, or she could do something nobody would ever expect. She could flip the whole table over. She chose to flip the table. "Mr. Chairman," she said. Her voice was low now and dangerously quiet. Everyone in the room leaned in to hear. "I am calling for a point of order. The senator has not debated the facts. He has only insulted me. And now he has used sexist language to try to silence me." She paused, letting her words sink in. She could feel every camera on her. The world was watching. "His behavior is not part of a debate. It is a disruption. He is stopping this committee from doing its job. This is supposed to be a respected place, and he is not showing it any respect." She took one more breath. Then she looked right at the chairman and said the words that would make news across the country. "So, Mr. Chairman, I am asking you to do your job. I am asking you to tell security to remove Senator Kennedy from this room." You could have heard a pin drop. The silence was total. For a member of Congress to ask for a senator to be thrown out of a hearing, it just didn't happen. It was like breaking the biggest rule in Washington. The chairman's mouth hung open. He looked like he had just seen a ghost. "Congresswoman, that's a very serious request." "These are serious times, Mr. Chairman," her eyes like steel. "Does this room have rules or not? The senator broke the rules. He should face the consequences." She slowly turned her head and looked right at the security guard. He was a professional. He stood completely still, his face showing no emotion, but he met her eyes. He was waiting for the order. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. This was the moment, the clip that would be played over and over on the news. Had she gone too far, or was she a hero for standing up for herself? This almost never happens in Washington. A line just got crossed, and now anything is possible. Who do you think is right at this moment? Is Jasmine Crockett a hero for fighting back, or did she go too far? Drop your immediate thought in the comments below. What happens next is not what you think. The chairman, sweating and panicked, looked at Kennedy. He was hoping Kennedy would say something to fix this, to calm things down. "Senator, do you want to respond?" Every eye in the room turned to Kennedy. What would he do? Would he get angry? Would he yell about his rights? Any of those things would make the situation explode into a huge political mess. For a long, long moment, John Kennedy did nothing. He just sat there with that same calm smile on his face. He looked at Crockett, he looked at the chairman, he let the silence hang in the room, making everyone more and more nervous. Jasmine Crockett decided she had to push it. She couldn't let them just ignore her. She had to see it through. She looked right at the security guard again, and her voice was clear and strong for everyone to hear. "Sir," she said, speaking directly to the guard, "I am a member of the United States Congress. I'm here to do my job. My work is being blocked, and I have been insulted. I am officially asking you to remove the person causing this disruption so we can get back to work." She had gone around the chairman. She had given an order to the security guard herself. The nerve! The security guard, a man trained to follow orders to keep the peace, took one step forward. The sound of his shoe on the hard floor was like a crack of doom. A gasp went through the room. This was really happening. The chairman looked like he was about to faint. Aides stared with their mouths open. This wasn't just a political fight anymore. It was about to get physical. The guard took a second step. And then John Kennedy did the last thing in the world anyone expected him to do. He didn't get up, he didn't argue, he didn't raise his voice. He simply held up one hand, a signal to pause. The security guard stopped in his tracks. Then he slowly reached for his glass of water. He took a small sip. He put the glass down gently. He acted as if Jasmine Crockett wasn't even there. He acted as if her demand to have him thrown out was so unimportant it wasn't even worth talking about. He turned his full attention to the nervous chairman. His voice, when he finally spoke, was not folksy anymore. It was dead serious. It was the voice of a powerful United States senator.
"Mr. Chairman," Kennedy said quietly, "I would like to ask a question about the rules of this committee." It was like a magic trick. A question about the rules? Now? While he was about to be thrown out? It was such a strange and brilliant move that it left everyone, especially Crockett, completely confused. The chairman grabbed onto this new topic like a drowning man grabbing a life raft. "Yes, Senator, of course. What is your question?" he said, full of relief. "Mr. Chairman," Kennedy continued, still not even looking at Crockett, "the rules of this committee say that all discussions have to be about the specific bill we are here to talk about today. Is that right?" The chairman nodded, quickly. "Yes, Senator, that is correct." "And, Mr. Chairman," Kennedy went on, like a lawyer trapping a witness, "the bill we are talking about today is about farming rules, is it not?" "Yes, that is also correct, Senator." Kennedy finally let a tiny, winning smile appear on his face. He leaned back in his chair, looking completely in control. "Then my question is this, Mr. Chairman. Can you please show me where in this farming bill it talks about company taxes, or medicine prices, or any of the other passionate things the Congresswoman has been talking about? Because I've read the bill, Mr. Chairman, and I just can't seem to find any of that stuff." Checkmate. He had done it. With a few calm, boring questions about the rules, he had stopped the security guard from throwing him out, taken back control of the entire room, and made Crockett's whole speech seem off-topic and against the rules. He made her look like the one who was emotional and unprepared, while he looked like the calm, smart one who was just trying to follow the rules. He didn't just dodge the bullet, he caught it and used it to win the fight. The security guard quietly stepped back to his post by the door. The crisis was over. Jasmine Crockett just sat there, in shock. The fire in her chest was gone. Now there was just a cold, heavy feeling in her stomach. She had played her strongest card, and he had simply changed the game. She made it about respect and dignity. He had turned it into a boring discussion about rules and procedures. She had lost. In front of the whole world, he had outsmarted her. The chairman, now brave and in charge again, looked at Crockett. "Congresswoman, the senator has a good point. Please stick to the topic of the bill." The fight was over. Kennedy had won. He had taken all of her anger and passion and made it disappear into thin air. He never even had to answer for his insults. Jasmine Crockett took a deep breath. She looked at Kennedy, who was now calmly writing on a piece of paper, as if nothing had happened. She had learned something today. It was a painful, public lesson, but an important one. You can't always win just by being right or by being loud. You have to know how to play the game. She gathered her papers, her hands perfectly steady. There was no anger left, just a cold, clear feeling of purpose. She knew this was just one battle. She looked at the chairman. "Thank you, Mr. Chairman," she said, her voice completely even. "I have nothing more to say at this time." She stood up, picked up her bag, and walked out of the hearing room with her head held high. She did not look back. The war wasn't over. It was just beginning. And next time, she would be ready. Next time, she would know the rules of the game even better than he did. What John Kennedy did was a masterclass in political power. But was it right? This is the kind of hidden battle that happens every day in the most powerful rooms in the world. If this story opened your eyes to how things really work, please show your support by hitting that like button. It helps our channel grow and bring you more stories like this. And to make sure you never miss another shocking story, click subscribe and ring that notification bell.